everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 618, NFL Week 4 Ryder Cup and Part 3. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. How about you?
Not too bad. Still feeling the effects of that jet lag. I don't think the 3 hockey games till 10 p.m. helped very much. So,
Well, I'm sure you'll recover.
Yeah, we got a hockey tournament this weekend, so we'll see how that
goes.
I'm
looking forward to it. On the trip to the U.S., right? I'm going to get to watch you play hockey.
Not only are you going to get to watch, you're going to watch the playoffs. I believe.
I thought you were going to be like,
round of the playoffs.
I thought you're going to get to play.
Not only are you going to get to watch, you are going to watch.
I think I could be an okay hockey goalie.
I mean, we could maybe put you in the Sunday rec league.
I think that's the one thing I'd have a chance of doing. I don't skate well enough to be any other position.
Yeah.
Because I can't skate backwards, for example. And even forwards, my stopping power is not great. I'm mostly just going to have to run into people to make myself stop.
It's not going to work.
No.
There's not that many people on the rink. You just
no, I know.
be running into people.
No, I'd mostly just be running into the boards.
Yeah.
It would just be like a runaway train running into the boards.
Well, there's open rink on Friday, so maybe we can suit you up and put you in net.
I'll go in net, but yeah, I mean, still, could you technically go in net without having skates on?
We frown upon that. Like if it were open skate, like it really wouldn't matter much.
But in a game, are you technically allowed to do that?
No, you have to have skates.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just shave the skates down so they're totally flat.
Well, the hockey goalie skates are slightly different. They don't move as well anyway. So,
I mean, but that would ultimately still be my undoing, is just shifting myself around the crease and stuff. Like I would end up falling over at times and I didn't want to.
Yeah, it's tough. But you will get to see playoffs, and it's a cheap bar. So,
well, I'll just be wrecked by the end of the game.
There you go.
Just lobbing bottles over the boards.
No bottles.
Try and start the. Oh well, I'll bring squid or whatever. Who does that? Pittsburgh,
Detroit.
Detroit. I'll just bring some dead fish and lob it onto the
octopus.
Non-ice rink. Just rot away mid-game.
Yeah, it was actually quite the controversy. Yeah, last night we had a little bit of a skirmish with 2 of the players and some ejections, some of then off the rink skirmish following it, and it was,
I could be a goon. I could be that. I could do,
but it's tough to be a goon when you can't really skate, and then there are bigger people there that can skate.
That's all right. I'll just wait for my opportunity. The team will be losing, but eventually I'll land one.
Yeah. Well, Eddie, I actually have a little BuzzFeed quiz for you. I'm not going to tell you what this is for. I just want you to answer, and then I'm going to tell you something about yourself. Okay, are you ready? What is your favorite color? Red, blue, yellow, or green?
Blue.
Okay. What's your this fitting? Answer honestly. What's your dream vacation destination? Colorado, New York City, Hawaii, Arizona.
Hawaii.
Okay. What's your favorite drink at a sporting event? Soda, beer, coffee or hot chocolate, or water?
What a terrible options. I love when I go to a football game and have a hot chocolate. It would be beer.
Okay. What's your go-to snack at a sporting event? Hot dog, popcorn, nachos, or peanuts?
I'd be happy with all but peanuts there, really, but I would probably say hot dog.
Hot dog. Okay. What's your favorite season? Fall, spring, winter, or summer?
Spring.
Okay. Wow, the listeners are learning so much about you.
Are you creating my dating profile?
Last one. If you were to date a man.
Oh, you are creating my.
What's your ideal seat location at a sporting event? Suite, club level, like in the center, end zone, or like on the side, like goal, or upper deck?
Of those, I mean, definitely not end zone, definitely not upper deck. I mean, ideally you want like around the 50-yard line midfield, right? So either in the sort of inner ring or suite. I'd probably prefer to be in the stands over a suite most of the time, just from an atmosphere perspective. So either one of those options, whichever one sounds closer to
50-yard line, closer to the field. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Eddie. You're a Dallas Cowboys fan. Cheer on the Dallas Cowboys this season.
Okay, go back and change it to suite and see what answer I get.
Okay, hold on. He said blue, Hawaii, hot chocolate, hot dog, spring, and sweet. Congratulations. You're a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Oh, bullshit. Which one's the one giving me away as a Cowboys fan?
I don't know.
I mean, blue is probably.
This is what's amazing about BuzzFeed, is they don't tell you at all how you've been been decided to be a Cowboys fan. 2, I've only seen 3 teams so far, and I've done like 8 different permutations.
I mean, the color has to be a big factor in this.
It's not, because I picked blue the first time I did it, and then they said I was a Chiefs fan.
Yeah. I mean, BuzzFeed. How BuzzFeed is still going is a thing.
I mean, wow. Taylor Swift really put the NFL on the map. That's how this opens up.
It's true. I'd never heard of the NFL before Sunday.
Some of y'all are new to football, so let's decide which team you should root for.
It's an interesting concept. Do they genuinely believe? I mean, because like the percentage of Americans that watch the Super Bowl is incredibly high, right? So the idea of being new to football basically doesn't exist in America almost. Now they have to believe, is Taylor Swift going to really convert Swifties into being Chiefs fans? I mean, that's how dedicated are they? And I struggle to believe that there's something going to be tuning in for every Chiefs game as a result of this supposed relationship.
Well, we're going to find out soon. I don't know if you saw, the most watched NFL game last week was that game. It was significantly higher than all other games.
It did have other things going for it, though. It was in the afternoon slate. It wasn't up against a big game. Sunday night and Monday night football were not great in terms of, they weren't must-watch games. So
the Thursday night, though, is slightly surprising. That's 2 big fan bases.
Niners, Giants, yeah. It's true. But it's still Thursday night.
But, yeah. Well, before we get on to the NFL, Eddie, I saw Blackburn moved on and now are set to face a friend of the podcast, fellow team. Are there plans in the works already, Eddie, for a Rovers Chelsea viewing co-party?
I got a text message from Ollie right after the draw saying, should we go to the match in the away end? And I would normally been totally down for that. However, it's the day before I'd be flying to the US.
What a way to start the trip.
I think that might just overcomplicate the logistics slightly. So had it not been for that fact, I definitely would have been there. But it's a nightmare from a planning standpoint.
Wow. Is there replays in the FL Cup?
No, League Cup is extra time penalties. I don't actually know when extra time, at the moment it's just penalties. I don't know when extra time actually kicks in. It might not be until like the semis or whatever. So it's probably still straight to penalties at that round. So no chance of I mean, here's the thing is, I'm going to be in the US for a month. I'll still be even if there were replays, I'd still be in the US then. So unfortunate timing, I guess. Also, look, Chelsea are going to beat Blackburn. And
see, but I love that you're already putting this out. This is a win-win for you. This is a worst case scenario for Ollie here.
It is. I mean, barring them winning like 7 or 8-0, yeah, there's kind of no, and even that wouldn't stun me because Blackburn can't defend to save their lives. Like they won today 5-2. That they don't keep clean sheets, so everyone scores against them.
Yeah, but Chelsea don't score.
No, but they'll be a bit fitter and healthier by the time that match rolls around. So, yeah, I mean, and ultimately, the cup runs are kind of nice. And Blackburn have had a few in recent seasons that have been decent distractions. But, it's at a stage where you really want the team to try to compete for the playoffs, and the extra games do hurt you. So, in the same way, Manchester City lost to Newcastle tonight. Okay, I'm sure there's some part of them that thinks they have this shot at this sort of perfect season and winning everything. I mean, I guess technically they lost the Community Shield anyway, so that went out the window. But, they have these opportunities to potentially win, every major competition that they're in. But I'm sure they're happy that there's going to be a couple weeks where they don't have a midweek match, even if they were going to rotate and give other players a chance. And in the reverse, I think for Newcastle, he might have wanted to lose that match.
I don't know, because the chances of winning a trophy now just got exponentially better.
They did, but now they have Manchester United in the next round.
That's an easy win.
Which obviously they played in the cup final against each other last season. And I just think if you're Newcastle, you got bigger. Manchester United are in a situation where a League Cup run could be a nice distraction, where, they get to January and Champions League doesn't really look on the cards, and they can win a cup and make the season feel like more of a success, which they did last season. But for Newcastle, I think I think on the honest assessment from Eddie Howe and from everyone involved, I think they probably would have preferred to just have at least, one more spare Tuesday, Wednesday, potentially, a couple more. I don't think it helps them in any way. Any other sporting topics before we get on to our NFL Week 4 predictions?
Actually, I have one more non-sporting topic. I
Okay.
thought this headline really caught my attention. Talk about clickbait. Passengers on overbooked Delta flight offered $4,000 to get off. I thought, fuck, I'm always on the wrong Delta flights.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I hope on my several flights I'm about to take as part of this rather mammoth journey, I will happily get off a plane if someone offers several $1,000s.
How little would they have to offer Vasilis for him to get off?
See, genuinely though, Vass, he would be the type of person who probably, if he's so looking forward to this trip, he would turn down outrageous sums of money. They'd be like, we'll give you $10,000 and put you on a flight in 6 hours. And he probably would still be, but that's 6 hours less of being in Hooters or, whatever calculation he's making.
Where he can get off in the bathroom. So this was a flight from Boston to Rome. And it was $4,000 plus the hotel for the night. And then they would put you on the flight the following day.
Yeah, I mean, I almost certainly take that. Obviously, I can
that
understand
then pays
some people.
for almost all of your trip.
Yeah, I mean, maybe depending on
a week. If it's a week trip, and you're not being crazy.
I mean, it is true. You might have arrangements that don't make that possible. You might be going for a specific reason or have other legs in your trip that, you're only in Rome for 2 nights and now you're eliminating Rome and you really want to see some things. I can get people turning it down, but they should never really struggle. The thing that hurts them, I suppose, is that most people will just be sitting there waiting for the number to go higher, which is what I would be doing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not accepting 1,000.
So people took a range from 2,000 to 4,000. It really sucks for those people that took the 2,000.
Huge difference.
Huge.
Like, that's a huge difference.
I mean, it's literally double.
But it's not just that. It's just like psychologically, it feels like so much more. Like 2,000, you burn through it pretty fast. Like, a couple nights out or a couple things, a hotel booking, suddenly you get under 1,000 almost immediately. And then it feels like there's almost nothing left. That kind of psychological impact of like, shit, I've only got $650 left. That's nothing. And whereas 4,000, you like burn through the first 1,500. You're like, I still got 2,500.
Yeah.
This is pretty nice.
I wonder at what point too, people were starting to say like, I'm going to take it, but I don't want to take it until it gets high enough right before someone else is going to take it. Like, I bet you a lot of people were thinking 5,000. And that's when I think the smart person comes in. And when they say 4, you take it and undercut that person that was waiting for 5.
I think if they were smart, they would do like, there should have some
like a silent
voting.
auction.
Yeah, like a system built into your entertainment system where you type in the number that would let you get off, where you're like, I will get off for this number. And you could be outrageous. Someone could put no money and you put 20,000. I think they're capped anyway. We've discussed this previously, right? I think Delta, it's like 10,000 is the most they say they'll offer you, something like that. But you put in that amount and then hope that you come up. Now it gets complicated when 19 people on the plane have identical bids.
Well, then they have to fight each other. That's the second layer.
Then you restart it.
With just those 19.
Yeah. You know what? We develop this software. We pitch it to Delta. We solve all of their problems in one go.
You know what was funny? Speaking of that, I watched a couple in the seats in front of me for a 3-hour flight play the free games on the entertainment thing. I've never seen adults play. It was like they were playing like kind of like a photo hunt like game, and then I did like a quiz game, but the quiz game was brutally slow. It would pop a question up and then you pick the answer, but then it would give you 30 seconds. So they would pick it in the first 5 seconds and then just sit there, or it'd be like 21, 20, 19, 8. And I was like, are you guys kidding me right now? Like,
I mean,
there are movies and TVs on this thing.
I've played the games as an adult
for a significantly long time.
At least an hour.
Wow.
Not on a 3-hour flight, but like on a long haul flight to mix things up. I've definitely played the games. I've really tested them out, seen which ones are fun. I also saw a pretty good video that someone took where he was playing the Battleship, because some of the games are fun because you're playing other people on the plane.
Yeah. And
he was playing Battleship against a guy who was sitting like one row in front of him and he could see his screen. So he was just destroying the guy.
That's pretty good.
But hey, if I'm on a flight with Vasilis, we'll just play the games the whole time.
I would not want to be on a flight with Vasilis for an extended period of time. I'd rather fly with like newborn, like triplets.
I wouldn't mind being on the flight with Vas. My bigger issue would be everything surrounding the flight. Getting to the airport, going through security, dealing with a layover.
Oh, God.
Like, I don't think he would understand the concept of the layover. Like we have 90 minutes, but we have to board. Like we have to get, okay, well, I'm going to just go and do this. Like you're going to end up missing the connecting flight for sure. But all right, should we do our predictions for week 4 of the NFL?
Let's do it.
All right, well, obviously we missed our predictions for last week, so our accounting system for our picks is
I did
Struggling.
really good last week.
I actually, because I'm in a confidence pool, so I at least have to put in my picks. It's only money line, not against the spread, so it's obviously a bit different. Last week I was perfect, aside from those three big upsets, which was a little bit annoying. So aside from the Ravens, the Jags, and the Cowboys, I got every other game right. So it kind of was. It didn't hurt me in the sense that everybody else in the pool picked those teams anyway, so it didn't.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still had a great week, but it was disappointing because having a perfect week would be quite cool, and I obviously did not achieve that. But we kick things off Thursday night football with a divisional rivalry. We have the Lions at Packers, and the Lions are 1.5 point favorites. Obviously, this is a matchup that the Packers have absolutely dominated in recent years, but that's with Aaron Rodgers. So things slightly change now that the quarterback who owned both Chicago and Detroit to a certain extent is no longer there. I'm a little torn on this because I don't think the Lions are all that much better than the Packers, and the Packers at home, I think that's actually one of the few instances of genuine home field advantage. And so to have them be, it's tempting with them as an underdog to pick them, but I'd love them to be like if they were 3.5 points, I would definitely take it. But at 1.5, where you're basically a money line pick for the most part, I'm going to just say the Lions are the better team, and I'm going to pick the Lions.
Yeah, so the Packers are 2-1, just like the Lions are. But the Packers were down 17-0 in the third quarter before Derek Carr got hurt. That severely changed that game. They didn't score another point, the Saints, and I don't think had another first down the entire game after he left. I think they were 5 straight 3-and-outs. So I think the Packers look slightly better because of that, and I think that's a little lucky. I just think the Lions are a better team. I think their defense is better than the Packers' defense. The Packers also, their other big win is against the Bears. And again, I think we said a few days ago, I think you and I could put together a team that could beat the Bears at this point. So I'll go with the Lions. Although it's a decent Thursday night game again, at least on paper. Like it's watchable. I will seek out to watch that game.
You definitely have to watch at least the first half. Like it's a quality enough game where you just have to check it out and see if it's competitive and decent. So yeah, I agree with you. It's not one of those where okay, I can actively ignore this Thursday night game. Up next, first international game of the season. Falcons technically at Jags, although the game is being played at Wembley in London. The Jags have back-to-back London games coming up, and the Jags are 3-point favorites. I've got a little question for you then, Frank. This will be the 10th time that the Jags will be playing in London. What do you think their record is in London?
4-6.
Well, this is the 10th game.
Oh. 3-6.
Okay, you stuck on the 6. You should have stuck on the 4 because they are 4-5.
Damn.
Which
I don't know if you saw they're making this game a Toy Story game. Have you seen the previews for this?
I have not. No.
So at the same time this game is going on, they're going to have an animated version where they are Toy Story characters playing in Andy's bedroom on like the floor or something. I don't know how it's going to work. I'm slightly interested. I will at least tune in for a little bit to watch how this goes. But I'm assuming it's kind of going to be like how you can now watch the game with just like the ball and the players moving, but not having to be real, except now they're going to be 3D cartoons.
But they're going to be Toy Story characters.
Or they're going to look like Toy Story characters.
Okay. Because there, I think there'd be almost a degree of like politics as to who gets to be which character.
Yeah. Who gets to be the racist Tim Allen, Buzz Lightyear?
Well, I mean, because you'd either have to do, presumably in that scenario, one quarterback has to be Woody and one has to be Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're a wide receiver who gets given like a kind of tertiary character, you'd be
Megatron would be great, like T-Rex.
Yes. But once you get down to like, oh, you're just like one of the army men, then you'd be like, okay, great. You do not think I'm going to have an important role in this game.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work yet. But all that being said, I'll take the Jags to win and to cover. I'm still not sold on the Falcons. It looked like in that last game, once their run game was kind of shut down a little bit and they were forced to throw it against the Lions, they really couldn't do much. So, yeah, I'll go with the Jags.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in the Falcons. I think, the Lions shut them down in that game pretty fast. As you mentioned, I think they were lucky against the Packers. Like, that's a game they really should have lost. And I put almost no value in their win over the Panthers because I think the Panthers are one of the worst teams in the NFL. And I'm not going to put the Jags in the category of good team bouncing back, but they're a somewhat good team playing a bad team. So I expect them to bounce back. So I actually think this line is a little bit of an overreaction to the Jags' performance last week against the Texans. I think they should be 5 or 6 point favorites here, really. So I really like the Jags in this. So the Jags to win, the Jags to cover.
Even with Trevor Lawrence?
Even with Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
If he would just cut his hair, I'd be fully on the Lawrence bandwagon. Then this, unfortunate in a sense, not to be game of the week, but it's a nice divisional rivalry, two good teams, Ravens at Browns, and the Browns are 3 point favorites.
I think I'm gonna go with the Browns to win and to cover. Their defense just looks so good right now. The Ravens still have some injury problems. It definitely showed last week. That's a tough loss against a not so great Colts team with Gardner Minshew. So I'm not sure who's going to be back yet from that standpoint, but just right now, I think the Browns defense just looks really good. And if Deshaun Watson continues to improve, he definitely looked a lot better last week than the previous 2 weeks. I think they can keep up with the Ravens and keep it a low scoring game and kind of win by a field goal at the end.
Yeah, I'm a little torn because obviously the Ravens did not look great last week. The Browns looked very good. And it's just both of these teams are in a situation where it's difficult to know which game you put the most weight on from what we've seen of them through 3 weeks. Because up until last week, the Ravens kind of looked like one of the best teams in football. The Browns did not really look like a playoff contender, aside from maybe their defense. And then last week, their defense stepped it up a further notch. And, the sort of more open approach to their offense seemed to suit Deshaun Watson. I feel like the Browns are one of those teams that over the course of a season, I pick incorrectly about 7 times. I fear this might be one of them, but I will take the Browns to win and the Browns to cover. Up next, we have the Bengals at the Titans, and the Bengals are 2.5 point favorites. I suppose in this, the continued assumption is that Joe Burrow is playing, which feels like there's an element of risk involved in this still. He didn't look fully healthy on Monday night, and it feels like at some point in the next couple of weeks, he's probably going to have to miss a game if he doesn't want to just play the entire season slightly hobbled. But then at the same time, the Bengals are not in a complete can't lose, must win situation, but they're not far off it. They did not look great on Monday night. I really do not think the Titans are particularly good, though. So I will take the Bengals to win and to cover.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take the same. They already have a through line in the Cleveland Browns. The Bengals lost 24-3 against the Browns, but the Titans lost 27-3 against the Browns. So an extra 3 points right on that spread. But no, I think the Bengals, yes, they didn't look great, but they looked better. They at least were able to get chase the ball a lot. And I think that's the key to their success. So that'll continue.
All right. I don't think there's ever been a game in the history of us doing the predictions where this sound has been more deserved. Because up next, we have the Denver Broncos at the Chicago Bears. Undoubtedly the worst team in football against the biggest dumpster fire in football.
I don't know which one's which.
I think the Bears are the worst, and I think the Broncos, just everything is going wrong for them. The Broncos are 3-point favorites. I mean, this feels like it's almost the last roll of the dice for Russell Wilson. Like, I legitimately think if he loses this one, you drop him. Because at that point you're unless, of course, they are in tank mode and they think the best way of tanking is with Russell Wilson playing. Like, this is the only scenario that might change things. Although I guess as a result, do they even have their first round pick? Did they lose that in the Wilson trade anyway?
I'm not sure if it was this year's one. You might be right.
No, it looks like they should be in the clear here. So I guess they have an incentive to tank. I don't love picking the Broncos, but the Bears are so bad and the Broncos have shown flashes of competence so far this season. I mean, not last week when just everything was terrible for them, but if you take that game against the Commanders 2 weeks ago, they should have won that game. And for
And
at
the
least
Raiders.
and the Raiders, but at least for 2 quarters, they actually looked pretty good. And then just the wheels came off. Whereas there have been no positive for the Bears so far this season. So I'll take the Broncos to win and to cover.
I think the Bears have had one good drive in the first game against the Packers. And then ever since then, it's been downhill. I think they are just beyond bad right now. As much as it pains me to say, I think you have to take the Broncos here.
And then things improve slightly up next, but not by a ton. We have the Rams, the Colts. The Colts are 1-point favorites. And honestly, I don't really know what to do with this game because both of these teams are probably better than expected based on preseason sort of predictions. And I don't know which one of them I think will return to form faster. Ultimately, I'm going to give the Rams the nod here just because I think Matthew Stafford is actually playing really well at the moment. And McVay, whilst he can get his own way at times, is a good coach. And so I think the Rams have the slight edge. And so I'll pick the Rams to win and then plus the 1 point.
Yeah, I'm actually slightly more confident in this. I've watched the Rams now a few times, and they hung in with the Niners. They hung in with the Bengals, and Cooper Kupp might be back. That would be huge. They still seem to have a decent offense that can put up some points. And I just don't believe in the Colts and Gardner Minshew and whether Anthony Richardson comes back, but I don't trust that offense very much.
Well, a couple games ago, we had undoubtedly the worst game of the week. Now we have best game of the week, best game of the season so far, a game that's going to be on the list, probably top 5 games of the season. Obviously, they play each other twice, so the sort of significance is slightly reduced. But we have the Dolphins at the Bills. The Bills are 2.5-point favorites. And this is just an interesting matchup. Obviously, the Dolphins coming off a historic offensive performance a week ago. At the same time, the Bills offense looked pretty good last week against Washington. And then defensively, they also looked very good. They had 15 quarterback hits with 7 different defensive players getting those hits, which is a pretty impressive performance. Tua gets the ball out really quickly. He averages a release time of 2.36 seconds. So that's the fastest release time of any quarterback in the NFL so far. So you'd say that of anyone, sort of any quarterback in the NFL, he's most suited to dealing with a pass rush. But when he does feel pressure so far this season, I know how you love passer rating. His passer rating drops to 57.7, whereas when he has a clean pocket, it's 137.7. So with the Bills have the highest pressure rating of any NFL team through the first 3 weeks, in a sense, this is two teams that match up quite interestingly against each other. With all that being said, I think the Dolphins, with a healthy Tua, are just the better team. And even if there's a strong chance he has a couple turnovers in this game, it's just difficult to imagine them not scoring 35 points. And whilst the Bills' offense can be explosive, I think that's less of a guarantee with them. And ultimately, if you tell me this game goes down to the wire, final possession, each team last fourth quarter getting one possession each, I don't trust Josh Allen as much as I trust Tua. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win, and the Dolphins plus the 2.5 points.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. I think the eye test here is Dolphins all the way until I see them struggle in the slightest on offense. I have to go with the Dolphins. It could be a shootout like it was with the Chargers, but kind of like what you said, I just think if they have any chance with the ball at the end of the game, they're going to drive down and they're going to get the points they need. So I'll definitely take the Dolphins to win here, and I'll happily take 2.5, even though I won't need them.
Okay, confidence. Kind of thing that Tyreek Hill would probably say.
Well, actually, Tyreek Hill would say he wants to be a porn star after he retires. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that. He's such a jackass.
That's what he said. He was doing when he was who the hell was he playing? He was playing Mike Evans on a video game, and they were live streaming it. And he said that, and then they were joking. He's like, "No, I'm serious though." And then the next day, he was like, "Guys, I was joking."
Well, up next, things drop off slightly. We have the Vikings at the Panthers. Vikings are 4-point favorites. And I have to say, it's that time of the year where I just pump Kirk Cousins into my veins. Coming off a disappointing performance fourth quarter against the Chargers, where he failed to punch it in on multiple occasions when they had the opportunity with a fairly short field to win the game. This feels like the perfect tonic for Kirk Cousins. Just up against a pretty bad team, a chance to do what the Vikings love to do, which is score a bunch of points against mediocre opponents and have everyone talking about them again. As we discussed on the last episode, he's leading the league in passing yards. I think he'll maintain his advantage through this week. I guess the one question, I haven't looked at this actually, what is Justin Jefferson's injury status? Because obviously he was a little bit hobbled at the end of that Chargers game. Is he expected to play? Looks like he is not on the injury list. So good to go.
But Bryce Young on track to start for the Panthers, which makes me even more happy to take the Vikings.
And then we have Steelers at Texans. Steelers 3-point favorites. And to me, kind of going back to the overreaction in the Jags line, I feel like this is the biggest overreaction of the week. This Texans team is okay, and I think they're putting in place some foundations to be a good team in the coming years. D'Amico Ryan's impressive coaching performance so far. Looks like they have a decent, prospect in place in the quarterback position. They have some nice players surrounding that, but still they kind of suck. And this Steelers defense is legitimately good. Not elite, but legitimately good. And their offense is competent. So I will take the Steelers to win and to cover.
Yeah, so going back to the Vikings game real quick, I didn't get to say, I think this is the start of their playoff run right here. one win at a time, starting in week 4. We'll see the Vikings in the playoffs. But I agree with you. As much as it pains me to say, I think this is a slight overreaction. I don't think the Steelers are better than many teams, but I do think they're better than the Texans. I wouldn't stake my life on it, though, just because I don't trust Kenny Pickett, and C.J. Stroud seems to be playing pretty well very early in his career already. So I'll take the Steelers to win with the points, but this is a stay-away game for me.
And then we have the Buccaneers at the Saints, and the Saints are 3-point favorites. I'll be pretty quick on this one. I don't think either of these teams are particularly good, but I do think the Saints are slightly better, so I will take the Saints to win and to cover. I kind of see a similar outcome as what we saw from the Saints playing the Panthers a couple of weeks ago.
I think this fully rides on Derek Carr, who's day-to-day. He has that AC joint sprain, which we had to hear for 3 days now already, or how many days he's had this injury. Every athlete on every media coverage tell them what it's like when they had an AC joint injury. It's fucking annoying. I get it. I don't need to hear every person tell me what an AC joint sprain feels like and how it's painful and you don't know day to day. But Carr says, if I can play, I'll play. That isn't a ringing of sign of endorsement there. So I'm going to stay away from the Saints here and think he's not going to play because they looked atrocious without him. So I'll take the Bucs with the points here on the guess that Carr will not be 100%.
Not a dumb move. And then rounding off the early slate of games, we have the Commanders at the Eagles. Eagles are 8-point favorites. I'm just going to side with the Eagles here because they're obviously the significantly better team to win and to cover, although the 8 points worries me a little bit. We kind of touched on it, in our reaction to the Monday night game where it feels like they should be scoring a lot more points than they are, and they're kind of not putting teams away at the moment. And so an 8-point spread, I could see a scenario in which the Commanders are never really in the game, but end up losing by 7 points or something. But I just don't like when I'm in a position where I really don't think the Commanders have any chance to win. It feels strange for me to be then very confident that they're going to stay within a single score. So on that basis, I have to take the Eagles to win and to cover.
I think the Eagles are the much better team here. I think the Commanders are who we thought they were. They played a pretty easy schedule those first 2 weeks. They got brought back down to reality. Eagles offense just continues to get better, and their defense is very, very solid. So I'll take the Eagles here, and I'll take the Eagles -8.
And then we have the Raiders at the Chargers. Chargers 5.5-point favorites. It just annoys me that I get to be critical of Justin Herbert all the time, and then right off a week where I've really laid into him, he gets to play this pretty terrible Raiders team, and I'm sure he's going to pass for 350 yards. I'm sure he's probably going to have no turnovers, 3 or 4 touchdowns, and you're going to be telling me how impressive he was yet again. So I will take the Chargers to win and the Chargers to cover.
Yeah, Eddie, you just said it for me. Everything you said is going to be true because it's true.
All right. There we go. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers, the biggest spread of the week. The Niners are 14-point favorites.
Woo! 14 points. Oh, boy. I think you can make it 20 points, and I'd still take the Niners here. Don't be fooled by what the Cowboys put up against the Cardinals. From what I saw, Cowboys, I thought they were the better team in that game, and they should have won that game. A couple of stupid mistakes, and I think that's definitely a 10-point swing the other way. The Niners don't make those stupid mistakes. They'll just continue to play the game that they play well, which is run the ball down your throat, let Brock Purdy hit these little dump-off passes to be a game manager, and just let that defense suffocate Dobbs.
Yeah, I mostly agree with you. I think the Arizona have kind of ridden their luck to either be sort of efficient in games or winning the game, as the case was. The inefficiencies that the Cowboys had in the red zone, I don't think the Niners would have similar struggles. There were some fluky plays as well that went Arizona's way. So 14 points is a lot historically, right? We say this all the time. History would tell you, take the 14 points. Like most teams, you'll end up, with the Niners winning by 12 and you manage to win that bet. But I cannot pick the Cardinals with any degree of confidence. So I'm going to take the Niners to win and the Niners to cover.
I mean, they also have a through line in the Giants, who beat the Cardinals 31-28, and then the Niners beat the Giants 30-12. So,
yeah. And then we have the Patriots at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 7-point favorites. I think everyone in the world knows what your pick is going to be for this game. So why don't you tell us why the Cowboys are going to win by a ton of points?
I think the Cowboys are win, but I think the Patriots are going to cover the spread. The Patriots 5-point loss to the Eagles, 7-point loss to the Dolphins, which doesn't look so bad right now.
You're coming around, Frank.
I'm not coming around. I don't think they're a good team, but I think they can keep it close. And I think they'll keep it close against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys will win, but not by more than a touchdown.
Well, you know what they say. When Frank Duca starts getting on a bandwagon, you hop right off it as fast as you can. So I'm going to take the Cowboys to win and the Cowboys to cover. Based on what you just said, I would take the Cowboys minus 20.
Here's a question. When is the media in the world going to get on Mac Jones for being a complete scumbag? I mean, he's now on video of punching Sauce Gardner in the balls. He had another one last year where he slid on a play and then kicked his leg up into someone's balls. He also, on another one, when he got sacked and fumbled, he grabbed the guy by the leg and twisted him down and gave him a high ankle sprain. How many more times are we going to have to see Mac Jones make a dirty play before someone just calls him out for being an asshole?
5.
5 more?
Yeah, I don't know. Was it a rhetorical question or did you want an actual
I want an actual answer. I mean, how many does it take?
8 in total. 5 more. And then he's the Ndamukong Suh of...
Ndamukong Suh did one little thing.
Well, he did more than that. But yeah, he built his reputation instantly. And then we wrap up the Sunday slate of games. Obviously a long day, with a London game through to the Sunday Night Football. That's you love the 7 hours of uninterrupted football. Sunday, you're going to have, if you wanted, I don't know, what is that, 14 hours of uninterrupted football?
A lot.
Although some interruptions, I guess, for the first and the last game. You got the Chiefs at the Jets, and the Chiefs are 9.5-point favorites. We have to assume that Taylor Swift will be in attendance. So I think you can just bet all the money in the world on Travis Kelce anytime touchdown scorer. I think, he's odds on, but that would be my advised bet on this game over pretty much any other decision. The Jets things seem to be going from bad to worse. Even the things we expected about them to be good aren't really all that good. I'll take the Chiefs to win and to cover here.
Do you want to take a guess at who has the worst QBR in the NFL?
Is it Wilson?
Nope.
Okay. You tricked me. You set me up for the typical Frank move. Russell Wilson.
No, Justin Fields.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know who's second?
Wilson.
Yeah. He's in glorified company with Fields, Tannehill, Kenny Pickett, and Bryce Young. He is not improving from week to week, from year to year. This team is dead in the water with him. And at this point, I just don't understand why this is the hill Robert Saleh wants to ruin his career on. I mean, he's a sub 500 coach as it is, and he's going to pretty much almost bet his job on Zach Wilson at this point, and I just don't understand it. I don't get, does Zach Wilson have like incriminating evidence on Salah that he won't give up the job on him? Like, just move on. Like, it's crazy. Last year they were willing to put Mike White in over him, but this year they're not willing to even bring in anyone in that could potentially somewhat right the ship. I don't get it, but I'll take the Chiefs here with the points.
Speaking of all of those Taylor Swift conspiracy theories that have been swirling, though, did you see the digging that people did into the outfit that Travis Kelce was pictured wearing as he left Arrowhead Stadium?
Oh, God, no.
You didn't see this? So the matching denim sort of jacket, jeans outfit that he was wearing, it's named the 1989 bedroom painting suit by the Kid Super Studios, the company that sells it. So obviously everyone has decided that he obviously was aware of this and was wearing a 1989 sort of themed outfit in homage to Taylor Swift. So the conspiracy theories continue to fly. I don't know. Did I make my pick for this? I can't. If I didn't, I'm taking the Chiefs to win and to cover.
Yeah.
Put it that way. And then we finish things off with the Seahawks at the Giants. The Giants are 1-point favorites. Obviously, you might have stronger feelings about this game. I think this is a generous line to the New York Giants, because I think the Seahawks are starting to show signs of what everyone expected them to be. And I don't want to read too much into that Thursday night performance, because I do think from them it was a really bad matchup against the Niners. But, against the Seahawks, you're still going to come up against a pretty good defense, an offense that moves the ball pretty easily, can run the ball down your throat. And I'm going to take the Seahawks to win, and the Seahawks plus 1 point.
I don't get this spread at all. How are the Giants favored? I mean, their one win is 2 good quarters against maybe the worst team in the NFL. They do not look good right now. I don't think they played particularly well against the Niners. They held them to 30. Is that something to be proud of? I don't know. Their defense is just letting every first down up. It's not stopping. I think the Seahawks will win this, and I think obviously they'll cover.
Well, that just about wraps everything up. Do you have a bet of the week that you would like to share?
I do. I'm going to change it up this week, and I'm going to give a little teaser bet.
All right.
So those not aware of the teaser bet, you can tease the line however you want, traditionally 6 points. So I'll stick with the traditional 6, and I'm going to do the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Chargers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. That's 5 teams. That's 5-1. You get, so it's pretty good odds. So when that's all teased in the sportsbook I use, it would be Dolphins plus 8.5, Eagles minus 2.5, Chargers plus 0.5, Rams and Seahawks both plus 7.
Nice. Well, I'm going to stick to what I know, stick to what's been working for me so far this season. I mean, we both have a 100% record so far. I'm going to give you I talked about the 15 hours of uninterrupted football. I'm going to give you the parlay accumulator to see you through an entire Sunday of football. You're going to kick things off with a Jags money line that then gets rolled onto Eagles money line, which then rolls onto Cowboys money line, which then rolls onto Chiefs money line. Gives you, I think, as long as you make it through the Jags, it's difficult for me to see where that bet loses. And as long as it makes it through the Jags, you then have hopefully a nice Sunday of rooting interest, which is all you can really hope for sometimes with a bet.
Yeah, it's not bad. The Jags is a stretch. But I don't know if I trust the Jags, but I guess it's the first one.
The nice thing about that, you lose, you rebet.
Yeah.
You haven't lost midway through with some legs in the books. So that's the nice thing. Now, I've got one NFL-related question for you before we wrap up the NFL portion. I was watching a YouTube video with a content creator who looked back on every draft since I think it was 2009 or maybe it was 2010 and looked at the number one overall pick and then said, who should that team have drafted with the number one pick in that draft? And actually a decent number of times they got the pick right. But the one that caused me the most intrigue was the 2012 NFL draft, in which the Colts selected Andrew Luck as the number one overall pick. Now, it's a difficult draft because, Andrew Luck wasn't disappointing, but he obviously retired pretty early. Number 2 was RG3. He also retired early through injuries. Number 3 was Trent Richardson, who really didn't do particularly well in the NFL, although I guess the Browns ended up kind of trading out of that pretty successfully. Number 5 was Justin Blackmon, so that didn't go well either. His argument for who he felt the Colts should have taken was Luke Kuechly, who was taken number 9. The only other candidates kind of looking in the first round, you have Ryan Tannehill, who I guess has had a decent quarterback career, but I don't think would have.
He's still playing. I guess that's his greatest claim right now against the other players.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox. So, strong case could probably be made for him. But after that, it gets pretty thin. The name he threw out as a potential candidate, which I thought was a really interesting concept, was there was an undrafted free agent in that 2012 draft, which was Justin Tucker. Can you make a case that, in a sense, the smartest draft pick there would have been Justin Tucker? Now, throwing out the fact that obviously he was
you can't, because you wouldn't need to have taken him.
No, I know, but if you
it's
just
the
went
Daniel
back
Jones argument,
right? But if you went back and gave a legitimate, best player out of that draft, he definitely wins. It's then what value do you attribute to the kicking position?
Is he the only Hall of Famer out of that draft class?
Fletcher Cox is probably a Hall of Famer, don't you think?
Yeah, maybe.
Luke Kuechly is probably a Hall of Famer. Maybe.
Yeah. I think he might make it.
Aside from that, Stephon Gilmore was in that draft class. I don't think he will be a Hall of Famer. Chandler Jones is in that draft class.
Not a great draft class.
No, it really isn't. One of your favorite players of recent years came out of that draft.
I have so many favorites.
Janoris Jenkins.
Oh, Josh Jenkins.
Yeah, he was
so dominant at Florida.
39th pick to the Rams.
That's who should have went number 1.
Okay. Actually, do you know who probably should have gone number 1 looking at this list? Player he failed to mention. 2nd round, 47th pick, Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
And I think
see
that's probably of the names I'm kind of scrolling through and really trying to look at. He's probably. Oh no, actually, I take this back. I've completely missed on this. This guy just sucks. No. There's one player I've missed from the 3rd round who should have been taken, which is Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. If Russell Wilson had retired when he left the Seahawks, then there's no doubt. It's just that he's kind of tainting his reputation in these final few years.
Yeah, I would take that.
But no.
So how many times did the team make the right pick?
I think it was something like 4, where he...
Not very many.
At times it becomes a little bit, how much do you rank a degree of sentiment into the pick? Like if they feel like they got a good player out of it and he's gone on to have a decent career, then why, he was trying to kind of factor that in at times. So, which makes sense. Now, aside from the NFL, two other major sporting events this weekend. One which we often dedicate a little bit of time to, but I suppose this time around we won't really. The Arc, the annual greatest horse race on earth that we build
Could
up
be
every
the worst
year.
one ever.
Not a great one, which is probably why we've dedicated less time to it this time around. I mean, what it has going for it is tremendously open. So, that's kind of, it's really what you want to see from the Arc, which is you can make a strong case for, a wide, at least, I would say, 6 of these horses. Personally, I'm going to side with the unbeaten favorite Ace Impact because I just think there's a possibility it turns out to be the really class horse in the race. And, Hookem is kind of appealing based on what we've seen so far. Continuous looks to be improving pretty rapidly. Westover is a consistent performer. It's a tough Arc too because there's not really a lot of rain in Paris. So all of the normal things you would associate with an Arc winner having to handle tough ground, you're probably going to be dealing with firm and, at least in the very least good to firm. So it's not exactly the Arc that you normally think of, but I just think you just have, I also, as we always talk about, you kind of want superstars in racing, and an unbeaten horse winning the Arc would be a really nice story.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that sometimes you have really good arcs. Sometimes you have what look like they will be good arcs. And then towards the end of the year, a lot of horses drop out. And then you have arcs where there's not many horses that are proven superstars. I mean, it's pretty rare here that there isn't like a superstar. Yes, there's an unbeaten horse, but it hasn't won that many major races yet. It's not an older horse, that's got a lot of Group 1s under its belt. It's not coming back for another win. It'll be an Arc that's tough to find like a hype story to it.
Well, what I would say is this. If Hookem or Ace Impact win, then I think you can make the case that they are superstars as a result of winning the Arc. Pretty much anything else, I think you could pick holes. I really do not want Continuous to win because I don't want just Aidan O'Brien just having this huge stable of horses and he waits for one of them to kind of hit a good patch of form and then throws it into a big race, and it would have never been up for consideration a couple of months ago. So consideration to me in the sense, Continuous is the worst possible outcome. Westover maybe deserves a reward for consistency and plugging away and, being put into some tough races. If you want the nice story, then, I think you have to say, let's hope this is the first year for the Japanese in the Arc. It's the prized thing for them. And if through 7 Seas, which, it's so hard to know what's happening with Japanese horses coming over, probably a bit better suited to the fact that the conditions are not going to be as testing as you would normally expect. It's a horse that, always races on good to firm. So from a Japanese perspective, this might be as good as it's ever going to get. This is definitely not the best Japanese horse to have come over to try and win the Arc, but these are maybe the best conditions they're going to have for it. So if you're looking for the nice storyline, then I think you back through 7 Seas and hope for the Japanese win. 16
At
to
like
1.
16 to 1, right?
Yeah. I think at the very least, you can make a very good case each way, pretty good value at 16 to 1, because there is an unknown quantity element to the Japanese horses coming over, whereas I think we know what Bay Bridge is. I think there's horses at a similar price in the betting where I think you can kind of rule them out. So through 7 Seas or recent history would tell us Fantastic Moon, the German horses tend to be sort of underestimated, overpriced. Fantastic Moon at 14 to 1. Maybe that's the bet. Fantastic Moon or through 7 Seas at both each way. You're probably going to end up with one of them placing and making a profit, but maybe one of them wins. And in an ideal world, one of them wins and the other one places and you have a really nice day.
Yeah. Wouldn't be bad. I like Hookem. I don't know if it'll win the Arc, but I like the horse. I think it's a good, solid performer. But at what is it, 4-1 now?
Yeah, and I think there's a very strong, well, 9-2 in some places. I think there's a pretty good chance that by the off, certainly in the UK, Hookem will be favored.
Yeah,
In
and I don't know
France,
if that's good odds for Hookem. Do you know what I mean?
I also think we've kind of, because there have been very good horses in recent years running in the Arc who've been relatively short priced favorites, I think we've sort of normalized the idea of, relatively heavy-ish favorites, which, okay, the favorite right now it's 7-2. I think that's fine. I really feel like 4-1 should be the favorite in a race like this. But, if either of these get into the more 3-1 or shorter territory, I just don't think you should be backing a horse in a race like this at that type of price when you aren't absolutely certain that it's the best horse in the race. Because A, it's a tough race. Longchamp is a pretty unique track with the full straight that you hit coming around the bend. It gets messy. It's a race where you need luck in running. Things can go against you and you can just never have a true run of the race. So I'd be reluctant. Then obviously the other big sporting event this weekend, the Ryder Cup in Rome, which, look, Europe retained the Solheim Cup last weekend, the women's version of the Ryder Cup. Europe and the USA drew 14 all. USA kind of had a mini collapse down the stretch to give away what looked like it would be a little bit of an upset. And this time around, we've got an interesting matchup of the two different teams. Obviously, part of the storyline is the lack of the live golf players in this, but I think Europe kind of have the edge. I think there are more European players here who I trust, and I think always right. The argument is that Europeans are slightly more used to the match play format because that's a much more common style in Europe than it is in the US. That the types of courses, particularly when they come to Europe, suit the European players more anyway because it takes out the sort of distance. They're more punishing if you find the rough. I just think I look at this US team and I'm not blown away by it, whereas I think there's a lot of consistency within this European team.
Yeah, so it's tough because the US kind of won in a romp 2 years ago, and they have a decent amount of that team back. I think I saw 8 of the 12 or 7 of the 12 are back. So bring back a decent core of that team that was pretty dominant. But Europe hasn't lost on home soil since 93, right? 93. So tough to beat Europeans in Europe. And the stat I saw that I think sways me towards betting, or I probably won't bet it, but Europe winning is the U.S. has the number one player in the world, and Scotty Scheffler, but then 2, 3, 4, McIlroy, Rahm, and Hovland, all Europe. So, you're looking at 3 of the 4 best are going to be on one team. So I think you got to stick with Hovland. He's hot. Take the hot hand.
If you like that, then maybe the big chill bet for the Ryder Cup. Top combined point scorer. You can have Victor Hovland at 9-1. So you can just hope for Victor Hovland to win all of his matchups. Obviously a little tough because
it'll be a slight improvement from his rookie debut in 2021 where he was 0-3-2.
Well, he's going to be just the smiling assassin this time around. But I mean, it's always a risk when you do the kind of top point scorer bet because you need them to be selected. Obviously they all have to play in the singles, but aside from that, they don't necessarily have to be involved. So, you could be in a scenario where Hovland goes out on the first session, has a really terrible outing, and then gets sort of hidden away. He's a player of a significant enough stature that I can't really see that happening. but it obviously isn't impossible. But I really quite like Europe this time around. I love the Ryder Cup.
We know you like Europe, Eddie.
No,
we know you're anti-American. You don't have
no,
to
but
say
for
that.
example, last time I had total confidence that the US would win. This time I really quite like the Europe's chances. The interesting thing, the little discussion that came out of the Solheim Cup, it's one that pissed off golf purists, was in the scenario where the Ryder Cup ends in a tie, which just means it ends and the reigning champions retain the trophy. Wouldn't it be more interesting if they had a playoff?
How do you do a playoff in a Ryder Cup?
You could. So the suggested possibility was then either you kind of restart. So obviously, because the final day is all singles, so then the first matchup go and play a one-hole playoff against each other. If that ends, if one of them wins, that's the end of the Ryder Cup. If that ends in a tie, then matchup number 2 goes and plays a one-hole playoff, and you continue and continue and continue until there's an outright winner of the hole. The nightmare to that, I could be, if they just never have a winner to a hole, you could be locked in for like a never-ending experience. But that is kind
I
of
like
unlikely.
the idea of you match play singles, but each player plays one hole.
Okay.
And every player has to play before you can start repeating. But then after all the players play, you can repeat the same player as much as you want. So kind of like how hockey does the shootout. Like you have to have, so what, there's how many players on a team? 11, right? Is that right? 11? 12? 12. So the first 12 holes would be a different player. But then after that, from hole 13 on, the team can choose they want to send out, and it could be the same person every time. And it's match play format.
I like that suggestion. However, the downside to that, right, is you'd have to restart that the next day.
Yeah, I know, but there's so much thinking involved in that too, because it's like you have to choose who you put out for each hole, and then like who's best suited for the hole, but then who the opponent could be. Oh, that'd be really cool.
But no, I mean, and this discussion pissed off golf purists because, which I think the argument they had, it's the dumbest argument, which is that's not the way we do it. And that's never the best argument. Like it ends in a tie. That's how it's always worked.
And Augusta never allowed women.
Or black people.
Just the way we do it.
But like there's no, I get it that golf wants to maintain certain traditions. I like that. I like sports that do that. I like cricket. It maintains traditions. I understand you don't want to just sort of destroy your core fan base in the desperately seeking the attention of, with a new format or trying to be more exciting. I understand. But I don't believe there's a golf fan out there, no matter how much resistance they might have to the idea in the first place, who, if they then get told the Ryder Cup's just ended in a tie, they're having a one-hole playoff, winner takes all, who isn't immediately tuning into that and who wouldn't say at the end of it, that was some of the most exciting golf I've ever watched. I mean, it would just be, the intensity of that environment would be incredible.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Well, I guess with that, we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
Cheerio.
Talk to you later.